To her surprise, Surasak felt the same. They began meeting in secret, setting up rendezvous over the past 2 weeks at the Melitai Hotel, where they gave in to their passion and longing for each other. Chaita wasn't entirely truthful about her new boyfriend either. Deep down, she was still clinging to the hope that their respective parents might eventually bless her and Surasak's relationship, even if it seemed impossible. Perhaps these secret meetings were her way of expressing the affection she had kept bottled up for so long. Hey there, welcome back to our channel. Today, we're diving into another chilling real-life story from around the world. This time, we're heading to the vibrant city of Chiang Mai, Thailand. Trust me, this story is one you won't want to miss. It's packed with twists and turns that will leave you hooked. So, what's the full story behind this intriguing case? Stick around as we unravel it all, step by step. Let's get into it. Before we dive into today's story, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share this video with your friends. It's a story worth spreading. Now, let's get into it. This is the story of a man named Sun Chai, originally from Lampong, Thailand. Born in 1967, Sun Chai joined the military in 1988 and married young in 1990. By the end of that year, he and his wife welcomed a son, Surasak. Surasak was doted on by his mother and grew up spoiled, mischievous, and far from disciplined. Unlike his father, he showed no interest in a military career. Sadly, when Surasak's mother passed away in 2004, he was sent to live with his aunt in Lampong because he couldn't handle his father's strict ways. Meanwhile, Sun Chai retired and started a small vegetable noodle shop, living in the same shop house where he ran his business. By 2011, Surasak returned home and began helping at the shop alongside 2 other employees. Sun Chai had high hopes for his son, wanting him to attend college and secure a better future. But Surasak had no plans for further education. After barely graduating secondary school, he drifted from job to job, often quitting or being fired due to conflicts with co-workers. In 2013, he finally landed a freelance job with the electricity department in Chiang Mai, but it was far from stable. Most of the time, he still relied on his father's money for helping out at the noodle shop. Around this time, Sun Chai discovered that Surasak was in a relationship with their next-door neighbor, a girl named Chaita. She was a management and economics student at Chiang Mai City University. However, her father disapproved of the relationship, hoping his daughter would marry someone educated with a stable, well-paying job, not someone like Surasak. Tensions ran high. Chaita's father often insulted and chased Surasak away, and even Sun Chai got into arguments defending his son. As a result, Surasak and Chaita began seeing each other in secret, keeping their relationship hidden from their families. In 2016, things took an unexpected turn when a widow named Napodi, the daughter of Songkai's former military friend, came looking for work. Napodi, born in 1989, had a difficult life. She had married a man named Prasert in 2013 and gave birth to their daughter in 2014. Unfortunately, Napodi had a speech impairment that made her articulation unclear. She wasn't completely mute, but her speech was difficult to understand, which often led to people categorizing her as disabled. Her life became even harder when Prasert went to work in Saudi Arabia in 2015 and cut off all contact. He never called, never sent money, and never returned. Rumors swirled that he had remarried abroad, leaving Napodi to fend for herself. After years of waiting, she left her daughter with her parents in Lampung and desperately searched for work. She eventually got hold of Songkai's number and asked for a job at his noodle shop, willing to accept any salary. Moved by her story and wanting to help, Sun Chai agreed to hire her. Little did he know, her arrival would stir up even more drama in his already complicated life. 2 of Mr. Songkai's employees were men, both of whom went home daily to their families. Since she had nowhere else to stay, Napodi lived on the 2nd floor of the shop. In addition to helping with cleaning, she took on household chores like washing Mr. Songkai's clothes and cooking lunch. Meanwhile, Surasak became increasingly absent, spending most of his time at his friend's house. When he wasn't playing soccer, street racing, or hanging out with his girlfriend, He would occasionally drop by to help at the restaurant, usually only when he needed money. By January 2017, Surasak turned 27 and made a bold declaration. He was going to marry his girlfriend, Chaita, with or without her family's approval. This enraged Mr. Sun Chai, who was adamantly against the relationship. Not only did Chaita's parents despise Surasak, but Sun Chai was furious at the idea of his son being insulted for the rest of his life for being uneducated and unemployed. For a week, father and son clashed in heated arguments. The situation escalated to the point where Chaita's father took her away to Lampong to separate her from Surasak. Devastated, Surasak confined himself to his room for months, unable to contact Chaita and broke because his father refused to give him money. In his frustration, he even attempted a hunger strike, but Mr. Sun Chai ignored it, reasoning that Surasak was an adult and should take responsibility for his actions. Eventually, Mr. Sun Chai decided to intervene. He suggested that Surasak marry Nepoti instead. He reasoned that marrying her would help Surasak move on, secure his future as the heir to the restaurant, and keep him from wasting time and money on frivolous activities. Initially, Surasak outright refused. He didn't love Nepoti and didn't want to be forced into a marriage of convenience. But when his father threatened to cut him off financially for good, Surasak reluctantly began to consider the idea. Nepoti, on the other hand, didn't object to the proposal. Her husband in Arabia had been absent for 3 years without any contact or support, leaving her uncertain about her marital status. She felt she had little to lose and agreed to remarry. By May 2017, with Mr. Songkai's encouragement, Surasak and Nepoti were married. At 29, she was 2 years older than her new husband. However, life after the wedding was far from ideal. Surasak treated Nepoti with cold indifference, refusing to touch her or show any signs of affection. It was clear he still hadn't moved on from Chaita. Despite this, Nepoti tried to be understanding, knowing the weight of his unresolved feelings for his ex. In her heart, she hoped things would improve over time. Around Mr. Sun Chai, the couple put on a facade of being a happy, affectionate pair, with Surasak playing up the role to keep his father satisfied. Nepoti, meanwhile, still felt more like an employee than a wife. 4 months into their marriage, Nepoti brought her 3-year-old daughter from her village to live with them. Though the situation wasn't perfect, she tried to make the best of it, clinging to the hope that their relationship would eventually grow into something real. Since November 2019, it came to light that Chaita had returned to her parents' house in Lampong. She had found a job at a leasing company and even mentioned having a new boyfriend in the city. One day, she awkwardly greeted Surasak outside his house. Knowing that Surasak was now married, she kept it friendly, addressing him like an old acquaintance. Chaita also mentioned she was just in Chiang Mai for the holidays and planned to stay until after the new year. To Mr. Sun Chai and Nepoti, their interaction seemed harmless, just 2 neighbors catching up. Even though Surasak and Chaita had been secretly dating not long ago, Sun Chai felt confident his son wouldn't rekindle the relationship. He reminded Surasak of his responsibilities as a husband and father, stressing that their past relationship could never gain anyone's approval. However, things started to feel off when, just days after Chaita's return, Surasak began sneaking out late at night. Once his father went to bed around 11 p.m., he would quietly leave the house. Nepoti, heartbroken and frustrated, could only vent her concerns privately. On Christmas Eve, Surasak told her he was attending a friend's gathering, but when she checked with the friend, he wasn't there. Instead, the friend revealed that Surasak had checked into the Melatai Batambang hotel, with none other than Chaita. Desperate for answers, Nepoti took a motorcycle taxi to the hotel. Sure enough, Surasak's motorcycle was parked there. She tried asking the receptionist for information, but they refused, citing guest privacy policies. Left with no choice, she returned home, her heart heavy with sadness. Her pain didn't go unnoticed by Mr. Sun Chai, who also suspected what was happening but chose to remain silent. For 2 days, Surasak didn't come home, claiming he was still at a friend's event. Eventually, Sun Chai could no longer ignore the situation. He confided in Nepoti, admitting he knew about the coldness in her marriage, Surasak's probable affair with Chaita, and her quiet struggles to track down her husband at night. Overwhelmed with guilt and compassion, Sunchai broke down in tears, a rare display of vulnerability that moved Napati deeply. She too began to cry, reflecting on how history seemed to repeat itself. Her first husband left her for another woman, and now the same pain was resurfacing. In that shared moment of heartbreak, they sought solace in each other. The emotional weight they both carried spilled over, leading to an unexpected release of pent-up feelings. They found comfort in one another, an act driven not by passion but by a desperate need for connection and understanding. Then came the afternoon of January 2nd, 2018. While others were celebrating the new year, a call came from the police. They asked Sunchai to come to the Batambang Jasmine Hotel immediately. Feeling a sinking dread, he rushed to the scene with Napati, fearing it had something to do with his son, who hadn't been home since New Year's Eve. Their fears were confirmed. At the hotel, they found Surasak's lifeless body. The police explained that he had been attacked and killed earlier that morning by a man named Wechai, Chaita's father. Apparently, Wechai had discovered his daughter's secret meetings with Surasak and, in a fit of rage, confronted them at the hotel. Nearby, Chaita was seen sobbing uncontrollably near an ambulance parked in the hotel's courtyard, consumed by the tragedy her relationship had caused. Amidst the presence of her parents and the police, Chaita broke down in tears, repeatedly begging for forgiveness. She admitted that if it hadn't been for her reckless behavior with Surasak, none of this would have happened. There would have been no scandal, no confrontation, and her former lover might still be alive. Chaita confessed that she had never truly let go of Surasak, even after years of being apart. Her heart ached when she found out he had married Napati, and seeing him again only reignited the feelings she had buried for so long. When she returned home to visit her ailing mother and ran into Surasak, who, in her eyes, had only grown more handsome, her longing for him resurfaced with overwhelming intensity. It felt like their old romance was begging to be rekindled, and Surasak felt the same way. Over the 2 weeks leading up to New Year's, they began meeting in secret, often checking into the Melatai Hotel to indulge in their forbidden love. While Chaita claimed to have a new boyfriend back in Lampong, it wasn't true. Deep down, she was still clinging to the hope that their relationship could somehow gain their family's blessing, even though she knew how unlikely that was. For her, these meetings with Surasak were the only way to express the love she couldn't suppress. But their secret didn't stay hidden for long. Suspicious of his daughter's behavior, Chaita's father, Wechai, became increasingly watchful. He instructed his youngest son to keep an eye on her and report back if she was with Surasak. On New Year's Eve, the pair were spotted together watching fireworks in Chiang Mai's city square before disappearing. Hours later at dawn, Mr. Wechai followed them to the Melatai Hotel. What happened next was tragic. Armed with a sharp weapon, Wechai confronted the receptionist and demanded to be taken to their room. When he burst in, he found the two lovers together, unclothed. Surasak, reportedly under the influence of alcohol, was caught off guard. Enraged, Wechai attacked him. Chaita and the hotel staff tried to intervene, pleading with him to stop, but the sight of the weapon kept everyone at bay. By the time the police arrived, it was too late. Surasak, unable to defend himself, had succumbed to the brutal attack. According to his lawyer, Mr. Wechai had a long-standing feud with his neighbors, particularly Surasak, who was dating his daughter, Chaita. Mr. Wechai viewed Surasak as lazy, irresponsible, and rebellious, a man who squandered his father's money and refused to go to college. In stark contrast, Chaita was diligent, intelligent, a college graduate, and deeply religious. From the start, Mr. Wechai had warned Surasak to stay away from his daughter, even going so far as to threaten his life if he didn't back off. But Surasak didn't listen. Despite being married to Napati and supposedly trying to settle down to take over his father's business, he continued to pursue Chaita. Worse, he hadn't changed his old ways. He still drank heavily and flirted with women, including Mr. Wechai's daughter, who was single and living under her father's roof. To Mr. Wechai, this was not only disrespectful but also a potential scandal for their neighborhood. A married man like Surasak should have known better. Angered and feeling protective, Mr. Wechai prepared himself to confront what he saw as a threat to his family's honor. When Surasak's life came to a tragic end, the reaction from his own family was surprisingly mixed. His father, Mr. Sunchai, admitted he couldn't bring himself to feel sad. He had spoiled Surasak for far too long, indulging his every whim without teaching him accountability or respect for others. While his death was tragic, Mr. Sunchai confessed to feeling a strange sense of relief. Perhaps it was the culmination of years of frustration with his son's behavior. Napoti, Surasak's wife, seemed to share similar sentiments. She had married Surasak out of loyalty to Mr. Sunchai, who had given her a job despite her speech impairment. Her relationship with Surasak was never truly fulfilling, and she had long found comfort in Mr. Songkai's kindness and presence. The legal proceedings concluded on August 18, 2018, at the Chiang Mai District Court. The judge found Mr. Wechai guilty of first-degree assault resulting in death. The 53-year-old was sentenced to 20 years in prison, with eligibility for parole after serving at least 15 years. However, an appeal in September reduced his sentence to 12 years. Meanwhile, Chaita was charged with misconduct for her role in the events and served 10 weeks in jail. As for the aftermath, rumors began circulating that Mr. Sunchai and Napoti had married and relocated to Lamphun to escape the gossip and scrutiny of their community. However, some close associates later denied these rumors, leaving the truth of their relationship unclear. What lessons can we learn from this story?